Version 4.1. Initializing upgrades. Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry. And what do you think about the new, slightly shorter intro? Did you notice it? There's not the lyrics going into the music, so it's a little bit shorter. Hopefully you like it. And I plan on keeping it like this. There might be a minor tweak to the intro at episode 400. Right now, we're at episode 375. Can you believe it's already been 375 episodes? It seems like just recently we hit episode 300, and then we just blew past 350, and now we're at 375, and we're just, 2 months? Wait, hold on. Yeah, 2 months, just over 2 months away from episode 400. And don't forget the anniversary episode coming up December 2nd. It will be 4 years since the launch of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, coming up December 2nd. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I know it's hard to believe, but yeah, it's really been 4 years, or at least in December, it will have been 4 years. Now, on Friday, we talked about goals, setting goals, and various ways to achieve those, and why goals are important. Well, let's look at something that most people probably don't think of as goals, but they kind of are, especially if you're trying to create a new one. What am I talking about? I'm talking about habits. No, not the thing that nuns wear. Those are also called habits. But we're talking about, the routine sort of things, to where, most of the times when people think of habits, they think of bad habits. Biting your fingernails. I do that not because, I'm nervous and, I gotta bite my fingernails. But I don't like the way fingernail clippers work on my fingers. So I, trim my nails by biting them. Some people would say, that's a bad habit, you need to break that. But again, it's not a nervous thing. It's just that's how I decide to wind up trimming my nails, because I don't like fingernail clippers. It's not that I'm opposed to fingernail clippers, because I use, toenail clippers on my toes. I'm not some sort of weird freak that bites my toenails. And I just had a weird image in my mind. And if you've listened to this show long enough, or if you've listened to Free Talk Live or Black Sheep Rising, then, you might know where my mind was going with the whole, biting on a toe, sucking a toe sort of thing. But no, I don't bite my own toenails. So it's not that, I have an aversion to clippers. I just don't like the way they work on my hands. And I think part of it is because I'm, not ambidextrous. So I had such a hard time trying to ever clip the fingernails on the right hand with my left hand. It just felt so weird that I was like, hey, yeah, I can't do this, and just bite my fingernails. But again, that's what people think of, biting fingernails, eating junk food, binge watching television, things along those lines. That's what people think of when they think of habits. They think about the bad habits. Well, what are some ways to break those bad habits? Well, and I've actually got an article about that, and a way to replace some of those bad habits with good habits. Let's begin the article. Again, they mention from biting your fingernails to eating junk food, we all have bad habits. Some of us have figured out how to break these bad habits, while others continue to carry out harmful habits on a daily basis. Bad habits drain the energy from our lives and prevent us from achieving our goals. The most dangerous thing about a bad habit is that most of us are not aware that we even have them. We've talked previously, they write, about how to design productive morning routines and how to stick with something that you're learning or stick to learning something new. So in this article, and I believe I've touched on both of these in previous episodes of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. So they say in this article and on today's show, we're going to share how to break bad habits and replace them with good ones. First, let's discover how a bad habit begins. And most people probably think, oh, well, it's just something that I was born with. It's something that's ingrained into my being, and I can't help it. I bite my fingernails, or I eat junk food, or I do this, or I do that, because that's just who I am. And if you can't deal with it, then, blah, blah, blah. Well, not necessarily. Habits, whether good or bad, begin in a loop. It's a 3-part loop, so it's more like a triangle, but they say a loop. The 3-part process starts with the cue, which tells your brain to go into automatic mode and let a behavior unfold. Then there's the routine, which is the behavior itself. The last part of the loop, or the process that finishes the loop, is the reward. And this is what they call the habit loop. And they've got a diagram here. Routine, reward, cue. Cue, routine, reward. Cue, routine, reward. So, you've got this thing of, I'm traveling, and this is something that I've talked about before. When I travel, I stress eat. And I don't know, I don't know why it started, but, travel, stress eat. So I'm driving, even just, driving 2 hours going to the seacoast for, some libertarian event. I'm going to nibble on something the entire way I'm in the car. Generally, it's going to be sunflower seeds, because those are, one of the least unhealthy things that you can nibble on. And also, I enjoy sunflower seeds. But, get in the car, sunflower seeds. And the reward is it's pleasing to my taste buds and to my belly. Not so pleasing to the waistline, but that's the cue. Get in the car, stress eat, reward. I'm happy, taste buds are good. When you repeat the loop enough times, it becomes a habit. There's more. Stay tuned.
In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
The article here about ways to break a bad habit. First, we explained how a habit happens. We've got this thing that is called the habit loop. You have a cue, there's a routine, there's a reward, repeat. When you repeat the habit loop enough times, your brain requires less and less energy to perform the same activity again. As the behavior starts to become automatic, your brain can almost shut down while performing the action. This, they say, is a real advantage because it means that you can devote all of your energy towards something else, whether it's learning a new skill or building a new habit. The bad news is that this can be a double-edged sword, since the habit loop can apply for bad habits as well as for good ones. You can find yourself carrying out bad habits without even realizing you do it. And a lot of times it will be a close friend, a close family member, a significant other that will wind up pointing out this thing that you didn't even realize that you did. And I know there's the stereotype of, like, oh, yeah, you get into a relationship to find out all the things that you do wrong about life. Like, I did not know until I was married. And, this is something that I don't go into a lot of detail about, but I did not realize until I was married that there's a wrong way to fold a towel. And I'm sure that all of the women listening to this show right now are like, of course there's a wrong way to fold a towel. And all of the men are like, there's a wrong way to fold a towel? They're just as confused as I am. But yes, apparently there's a wrong way to fold a towel. Never knew that. And that's the way, habits. You don't necessarily know these things until somebody points it out to you. Continuing on. According to human behavior expert James Clear, most bad habits are caused by two things. I've already mentioned one of them. The other one is boredom. So the two things that cause bad habits, stress and boredom. Like solving any problem, if we can get to the root of what's causing our stress or boredom, then we can reduce the likelihood of forming another bad habit. It could also be the case that your bad habits are actually caused by a deeper issue than what you're experiencing in your life. Ask yourself, are there limiting beliefs or fears that are holding you back or causing you to hold on to something that is harming you? For example, they say opening up social media or your email inbox in the morning may be a habit. It's hurting your productivity, your focus, and your ability to get things done. But the deeper cause of this could be rooted from not being as connected with people that are important in your life. The point here is, instead of cutting out a bad habit completely, i.e. getting completely off of Feces' book, the most realistic and effective thing to do is to replace it with a positive habit. Call your best friend or your family members once a day to feel more connected. So that's just one way of replacing a bad habit with a good habit. But how do you break a bad habit altogether? Let's dig deeper into how to break a bad habit. Before you move on to the next section, and I'm reading here, they say, before we move on, try to come up with one bad habit that you're trying to eliminate in your life. And the one that I would love to eliminate is stress eating when traveling. And luckily, I don't have, much traveling planned anytime soon. There will be, I think, like twice in November, I'm probably going to, go to another part of the state. And I don't know why. Like, if I'm only going an hour somewhere, then, like the stress eating thing doesn't happen. But if I'm driving like 2 or 2.5 hours, yep, stress eat. And I don't know why. I really don't know why. But that's the one thing that I would love to get rid of. And I'm sure that there are other bad habits that I have, and just nobody's pointed them out to me yet. But the way that you wind up, like after you've identified the habit, you can press pause if you want to, identify the habit, and after you've identified that, then press play. So that leads us to the first point. Become hyper-aware of your bad habit. The natural thing to do is to actually ignore your bad habits and your bad behaviors and hope they vanish eventually. But according to James Claiborne, a psychologist and co-author of the Habit Change Workbook, How to Break Bad Habits and Form Good Ones, the opposite is true. We should increase our awareness of our bad habits. He writes in the book, or he said somewhere that there's a quote from James Claiborne. One of the things I'm likely to suggest is some sort of record keeping. It may take the form of a checklist to find out how often you're doing these things and under what circumstances you are doing them. We need to understand the behavior before we can change it effectively. Just like you would measure and track your progress at the gym to improve your results, you should do the same to improve your habits. And the measuring your workout thing, it's funny that they mention this, because I was talking to somebody a couple days ago about this workout routine that I'm doing called Shortcut to Size. And I'm actually beginning week 8 right now, I think. I actually need to pull up my app and see, because I believe I'm on week 8. I believe I just finished week 7 last week, which would put me at week 8 this week, or I could be off by a week. But while this is pulling up, and I don't know why I just closed the app, but yeah, so I'm doing this workout routine, and every week it's a 4-week cycle. So each week during the 4 weeks, you increase the weight, but you decrease the number of repetitions that you do. So last week I was doing 8 reps. So, like lift something heavy 8 times. And I would do either 3 or 4 sets, depending on what it called for. And this week I'm doing only 5, pick the thing up 5 times, but I'm supposed to increase my weight. And I haven't been keeping track of what my actual weights have been. So, yeah, I should probably do that, right? Yeah, probably. There's more about bad habits.
Hey, this is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've been working with computer programmer Derek Slopey to create Fiend Phone. I'm using Fiend Phone right now to talk with and record one of my co-hosts in real time. Take it, Davi.
Hey, this is Davi Barker, and I'm 1,000 miles away from Michael, but we sound like we're in the same room.
We sure do, Davi. So, Davi, please tell the nice people more about Fiend Phone.
Fiend Phone is free, open-source software that opens up a global world of possibilities for collaborative, high-quality remote voice media production, and I'm digging it.
People can try the Windows beta version of Fiend Phone right now at fiendphone.com. But we're also raising money to vastly improve Fiend Phone and vastly improve independent talk media worldwide.
So go to fiendphone.com to help out. Who will build the audio roads? We will, with your help.
That's fiendphone.com. FEENPHONE.com. Foxtrot, Echo, November, phone.com.
Fiend Phone. I never knew remote audio could be this good.
This is Paige Peterson from Made Safe, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Hey, welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, and during the break there I did pull up, and I am starting week 8 of the workout this week. And yeah, so I've got, after this week, one more cycle of, start off doing 15 reps, and then the next week drops down to 11 reps, and then drops down to 8, and then drops down to 5. And I honestly, I could not tell you what my weights were last week. I would, kind of guess of, I think I was doing this. But, what I'll do is lift and, no, I can do more weight. But, I should keep a notebook of that. Because, that's really what I should be doing, especially when, my workout is based on what my previous weight was and then making sure that the weight increases. So that's kind of a bad habit for me of, not record keeping all the things that should be record kept. But there are other things where I'm really good about keeping records. So let's continue with ways to break bad habits. Or actually, before we do that, I need to ask you a question real quick. Now, you know that every Wednesday I answer your questions, but right now I've got a question for you. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you use and promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? If so, you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal. Spend-A-Bit is the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend-A-Bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin-accepting merchant, like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. That's spendabit.fppradio.com. So, how to break a bad habit. Become hyper-aware of your bad habit. And this, again, they say this is, completely counter to what most people think. They're like, if I just ignore the bad habit, I'll stop doing it. But then it just gets more ingrained. You have to be aware that you're doing the thing. And then you need to get rid of the triggers or the cue. The thing that starts off that loop. There's the cue, the response, then the reward. Get rid of the cue. Get rid of the trigger. They say that the triggers are what start the habit loop in the first place. In order to eliminate a bad habit, you need to get rid of the trigger. If you want to stop drinking, don't go to the bar. If you want to stop eating junk food, throw it all away. If you want to stop going on social media, download a web blocker app like Facebook Newsfeed Eradicator. Plus, you'll get some awesome quotes with it, they say. Relying on our human willpower can only take us so far. If your environment is making it hard for you to break your bad habits, it only makes sense to change your environment. Next, they say replace your bad habit with a positive habit. And this might, be one of those things easier said than done, right? Well, to eliminate a bad habit alone is not enough. You need to take steps to replace it with a positive one. Since stress and boredom are the two leading causes of how a bad habit forms, it's natural for our brains to crave the habit again if we have nothing to do. We need to plan ahead on what we will do to substitute the bad habit with that will instead serve us. Instead of going back to the bar, we can pick up a new skill to fill the time. You can learn a language. You can relearn something that you have forgotten. After throwing out the junk food, take a healthy cooking class or sign up for a gym membership. Instead of going on social media, read more books, take a class, etc. And next, find an accountability partner or a coach. And this is the thing that a lot of libertarians will wind up shunning. And I know they will because I've previously asked people of, hey, will you help me make sure that I do X? And the response generally from libertarians is, you're an adult, be responsible. Yes, and I'm trying to ask you if you will, be my accountability partner. You're an adult, be responsible. And it's the thing that I don't know what it is with, libertarians a lot of times to where, they want to, shun the whole I'm willing to help you thing. And I don't know why that is, but I think that, that's the one thing. If I could change, one thing about the liberty movement or, libertarians in general, it would be the whole, I'm not going to help you because responsibility. And yes, I understand, personal responsibility, but if somebody asked me, hey, Darryl, can you give me a call at 8 o'clock in the morning to make sure I'm awake to where I get to my job on time? I'll be like, yeah, sure thing. Because I'm waking up about that time anyway, yeah, I'll give you a call. I'm willing to help people out because I know what it's like to need a hand. So when you're breaking a bad habit and finding a new one, find an accountability partner. There's a little bit more to this article that we'll get into here in the closing moments of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Why do you need an accountability partner? Well, there are several reasons. But first, we need to figure out why people quit doing things. Why do you quit learning something? Why do you quit, trying to get this new habit? Why do you quit trying to break this old habit? There are 5 primary reasons. You run out of time and you quit. You run out of money and you quit. You get scared and you quit. You're not serious about it and you quit. Or you lose interest completely and you quit. And then there's a nice little chart here that will show, if you look at this, I will describe it. So you start off putting in effort, and you've got some results happening. You've got some results, and then there's a dip where you stop seeing results. And then you need to keep putting in effort, and then it goes up like a hockey stick. And I realize hockey stick is not the right way to describe this, because you've got, that bump in the front, so it's more like a wave, like a really big wave there. But they say by understanding the reasons that we, try to break a bad habit, we can prepare ourselves for the moments when they inevitably happen. More importantly, we significantly increase the chances of success without giving up by finding someone to help keep us accountable. And next, they say, realize that you're only human. Yes, transhumanist, you have to accept it. You're not a robot, yet you're still a human. There's a little bit more written here, but let me just say this. Instead of beating yourself up for it, forgive yourself. We all make mistakes. Even some of the greatest athletes and world-class leaders slip up once in a while. The important thing is that you get back up and move on. Figure out what made you slip in the first place and plan for success next time. That's all there is to it. And then they have some next steps that you can take. And they say to put this into action, here are some follow-up steps that we recommend. First, pick a bad habit that you want to break. Track how many times a day, a week, a month, or whatnot that you actually do this bad habit. So gather some data. Analyze the data. Try to figure out the triggers. Is there a particular time of day, a particular person, where you are, what you're doing, etc. Select a good habit to replace your bad habit with, and as always, try. Don't forget, every Wednesday I answer your questions. Send those over ama@fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.